Hello, guten Tag, my name is Will Becher and I am an animation supervisor, I'm a director, I'm a filmmaker, and right now I'm the stop motion lead at the Aardman Academy. So I've worked on a number of films at Aardman over the years. My first project was the original Chicken Run. But my first project as an animator was Wallace and Gromit: Curse of the Were-Rabbit.
Now, the creators of Chicken Run are back with the pair that started it all, Wallace and Gromit.
And I have with me today the actual puppets from our most recent film, Wallace and Gromit: Vengeance Most Foul.
Feathers McGraw, you have been found guilty of the attempted robbery of the Blue Diamond. If not for two upstanding citizens, you would have succeeded in your wicked plan.
This here is Gromit. He's one of my favourite characters to animate. Next to him we have Wallace, of course, famous Wallace who loves cheese. There he is. And then finally down here in the front, sinister Feathers McGraw. The penguin, the most evil penguin known to man.
Morning, Gromit. How's my favourite pooch? Another great day of inventing beckons. Wait till you see the next thing I'm working on.
I have worked on lots of projects, and Shaun the Sheep, The Pirates, but also Paranorman and various other independent projects over the years.
Good grief, it's you! Again!
I fell in love with animation as a hobby when I was still a child, and I actually studied in the end at Edinburgh College of Art. I studied a degree in animation, and really the best thing about stop motion is you can learn it by practice. So a lot of the things I've learnt to get where I am have been through learning and making mistakes. I got into Aardman first of all by writing letters to the company. Really at this stage I wanted just to know how to get the materials I needed to animate myself at home. And over the years I started sending in my work and video, and eventually I was given the chance to do work experience. So I spent 3 weeks in a summer holiday pressing chicken wings out of clay for the original Chicken Run film.
We mustn't panic.
And from that work experience came an offer of some work, and every summer holiday during my degree I went back to Aardman Studios in Bristol and learnt a bit more about model making. And then finally when I graduated I had spent a long time focusing my film on becoming a sort of showpiece, and it was all about becoming an animator. So my final degree film was really my final letter to Aardman to say, can I be an animator? And luckily for me, Nick Park and Steve Box, who were directing at the time, both enjoyed the film and asked me if I would like to join the team.
Gromit, old pal, I'll need assistance. Ow!
Yeah, I think stop motion animation is, well, it's been around for over 100 years, and I think we've seen many ups and downs over those years, but it's never really gone away. And despite all the incredible technological advancements, I think people love the immediacy and the tactility of making an object move and taking photographs. And I think it's easier now than it ever has been for anyone to make a stop motion film. It doesn't require very much at all to do it. So it's probably still the most sort of accessible way, I think, to animate. And it's great to see the sort of interesting hybrids. You know, we use computers at Aardman a lot to embellish and build on the world. So in the latest films we have the tools at our disposal to make the stop motion world much bigger, more expansive, with skies and vistas and effects like fog and smoke, things which are really hard to do in stop frame. So yeah, for me personally, I've done a little bit of CGI, but I love the physicality of stop motion because you're so directly connected to the final result. And when you watch it on screen, I think as an audience member, you can see the fact that it's real and it still has that bit of magic.
Full suction.
It would be wrong to say we don't know what AI is, but we're very much, I think, at the beginning of understanding what it can do. Personally, I've used it very little, but as any forward-thinking company should do, we have an R&D team who look into how it might or might not be useful. I think from a creative point of view, we're most focused always on storytelling and that human connection, the personal, emotional connection, and that's something I think we'll continue to really mine our own experience, you know, rather than use AI for. But certainly, it's going to be interesting to see how it develops over the years. Every project has had so many highlights. They've also been hard. There's always it's a great team effort to create these films and series, and it's hard work a lot of the time. But I think for me, my highlights in my career probably the original Wallace and Gromit, Were-Rabbit, because it was my first time animating. That was a really special moment. Working on a film called The Pirates with Peter Lord.
Raise the flag! Standard, sir!
Or extra gruesome!
Extra gruesome! Let's go plundering!
It was my first opportunity as a lead animator, so I was trusted to develop and help the rest of the animation team with the main character. And that was a huge responsibility, but a very enjoyable project. And so many talented animators that are around the world that worked on that film. I love Shaun the Sheep, and I think it was an incredible moment in my career when I was asked to take on the role of director along with Richard Phelan on the second Shaun the Sheep movie. I always loved creating films of my own and making short stories, but I also dreamt of directing a film. And so at this point, to be trusted to take on this huge project was a great honor. It was very hard work, but what an amazing thing to sort of be in a studio like Aardman with all the support and talent that's there, and to be able to create a project like that. We love, you know, sci-fi films, and it was a real opportunity to a love letter to some of those great directors, you know, those incredible directors like Spielberg, who has formed so many of our memories as children growing up, that it was entertaining for us to put many of these into the film. Yeah, we did a full mix in the sound studio at the end. We recorded the orchestra in Abbey Road Studios in London. It was just a wonderful experience, that whole post phase. There's some very funny stories from myself and other animators about the sort of strange dreams you can have, because you can lose yourself in a shot, and you can be trapped in something very complex technically, because you're working organically and you're working frame by frame, you have a lot of pressure. And if you get into trouble, you have to animate your way out of it, but it can be incredibly complicated. So I've had a few dreams where I'm sort of trapped in this particular movement or something, and yeah, that's stressful. The latest project actually was a real joy and had very little stress, partly because of the directors, you know, Nick, who was very confident about what he was doing, and Merlin, who had worked with him a lot over the years. We tried to keep the entire process free of stress and enjoyable, and I think most of the crew found that worked. I think the better the film, the less I think about it. So it's when I think the one thing that sticks out a bit, and it's partly because we struggle so much with telling, you know, we work a lot on the script in animated films, and with Shaun the Sheep there is no dialogue, so we work extra hard to sort of explain the plot and the emotion. And so when there's exposition in films, you know, when it's overly stated, I think that I get bumped out of it. But normally I can really enjoy films, and I love cinematography and I love directing, and so although sometimes I watch a film and think about it technically, most of the time I get sucked in to the characters and the narrative.